This video is about why most leadership training programs teach you the wrong skills in the wrong order and the counterintuitive order in which you need to master 3 skills to become an effective leader. Companies tend to spend upwards of $10,000 per manager and still see 90% of them fail within their first year. If you own a company, or have been promoted recently, or you're preparing for a leadership role, understanding the real hierarchy of management skills can be the difference between building a legendary team or becoming just another average Joe. Here's what most leadership training programs teach. Master your technical skills first. Know your industry inside out, prove you're the expert, understand the processes. Then, once you've established your technical credibility, you can work on the soft stuff like communication, empathy, and team building. But here's the truth that leadership assessment data reveals. This approach is exactly backwards, and it's why 90% of new managers fail. The managers who focus on technical expertise first become glorified individual contributors with a fancy title and not actual leaders. Meanwhile, managers who master human skills first, even without being the most technically skilled in the room, build teams that consistently outperform by 3-to-1. Harvard research shows that emotional intelligence accounts for nearly 90% of what separates top performers from average ones in leadership roles. Yet most training programs spend 90% of their time on technical and strategic content. From our extensive research, the pattern is crystal clear. It's not which skills you have, it's the order you develop them that predicts whether you'll succeed or become another statistic. So in this video, we will break down the 3 management skills that actually matter in the exact order you need to develop them. These aren't the generic 10 skills every manager needs. This is the counterintuitive hierarchy that separates managers who struggle from leaders who build teams people actually want to work for. We call this skill strategic empathy. Human skills are your ability to understand, motivate, and genuinely connect with individuals. Not just be nice to people, but actually read emotional states, predict reactions, build psychological safety, and create an environment where people bring their best work. Think of it as the operating system that runs all your other management skills. Here's what this looks like in practice. 2 managers at a tech company, both promoted for their technical brilliance. Joe knows every line of code, jumps into technical problems, becomes the team's best debugger. He's the go-to expert for solving complex issues. Alex can't code as well, but she notices when her developer is struggling with deadlines. She doesn't just ask about the code, she asks questions. What's blocking you? Is it the scope? Do you need to learn something new? Is something happening outside work? Turns out the developer's father was sick. He was distracted, didn't want to seem weak by asking for help. Alex adjusts the timeline, redistributes some work temporarily, maintains trust. 6 months later, Joe's team has 40% turnover and missed deadlines because he's solving problems instead of developing problem solvers. Alex's team has 2 promotions because she invested time understanding what motivated them and creating growth paths. The specific technique: run weekly one-on-ones focused on the person, not the project. Ask 3 questions. What energized you this week? What drained you? What support do you need? This builds the psychological infrastructure that makes everything else work. Here's why this is foundational. Every other management skill requires trust. You can't communicate effectively if people don't trust your intentions. You can't delegate if they don't trust your judgment. You can't give feedback, resolve conflicts, or drive change without trust as the foundation. And trust doesn't come from being the smartest person in the room, it comes from understanding people. Research shows teams led by high EQ managers outperform teams led by high IQ managers by 3:1. That's measured in revenue, retention, and results. Okay, strategic empathy builds the foundation. But here's where leadership training makes its second and biggest mistake. And this is how to rectify it. Call the forget your hammer method. The moment you get promoted, you receive positional authority, the organizational power to assign work, approve requests, and make decisions. But here's what no leadership training program tells you clearly enough. Using that authority is the fastest way to destroy your actual leadership. Real leadership is voluntary followership, people choosing to invest their discretionary effort because they believe in you, not because they have to comply with you. The clearest example comes from Microsoft's transformation under Mr. Nadella. When he became CEO in 2014, Microsoft had all the authority in the world. $80 billion in revenue, dominant market position. But the culture was toxic. Teams competed internally, innovation stalled, top talent was leaving. Nadella didn't use his authority to force change. He used influence through a 3-step framework any manager can copy. Step 1, listen first. He spent his first 90 days just listening. Held sessions where he asked questions, not gave orders. This signaled that ideas could come from anywhere. Step 2, learning rather than blaming. He publicly admitted mistakes. In a company with a know-it-all culture, the CEO saying, "I was wrong about mobile strategy," gave everyone permission to learn rather than defend. Step 3, remove obstacles. Instead of telling teams what to do, he asked, "What's in your way?" and used his authority to clear roadblocks, not create directives. The result, Microsoft's market cap went from $300 billion to $3 trillion. Teams started collaborating. Innovation accelerated. For any manager, here's the framework. Authority says, "Do this task," and creates compliance. Influence asks, "What would you suggest?" and creates commitment. Authority says, "This is the deadline," and creates pressure. Influence says, "What timeline works given our constraints?" and creates ownership. Leadership assessment data shows 70% of new managers default to authority because it's faster and feels safer. But teams led through authority show higher burnout, lower innovation, worse retention. Why? Because compliance doesn't require thinking. People do the minimum. Commitment requires buy-in, and people bring their best ideas. The paradox: the more authority you use, the less leadership you actually have. Now, if you're wondering where you stand on these skills, that's why we built a leadership assessment and transformational tool at ruleyourmind.org. It is a state-of-the-art AI-powered leadership and personality analysis, unlike any other generic tool. You answer questions in as much detail in an intuitive chat interface, all at your own time and pace. All answers are analyzed by AI, ensuring privacy, and most importantly, zero bias. You get your actual assessment without any flattery. Based on this, you'll get a personalized 24-week transformational roadmap. No need for multiple session scheduling, no bias. Instant report generation upon completion. Link in the description. Now, whether you use our tool or not, here's what matters: understanding these skills in the right order. So let's keep going. Here's the counterintuitive truth. Making decisions with 60 to 80% of the information and course correcting is dramatically better than waiting for 100% certainty. Teams don't fail because of bad decisions. They fail because of no decisions. Decision paralysis kills momentum, morale, and market opportunities faster than the occasional wrong call. For example, Amazon has the disagree and commit principle that's legendary in leadership circles. Mr. Bezos once explained, "If you have conviction on a direction even though there's no consensus, say, 'Look, I know we disagree, but will you gamble with me on it?' Disagree and commit." Amazon Web Services was decided with massive internal disagreement. Many executives thought it was a distraction from retail. Bezos made the call with incomplete data. The team committed, and AWS is now an $80 billion business. The specific framework is what we like to call the 60-80-24 rule. 60% confidence minimum. If you're 60% sure, you have enough to decide. 80% information threshold. Don't wait for 100%, the opportunity will pass. 24-hour implementation. Make the call, then move within 24 hours to show commitment. Believe it or not, this is in stark contrast with how many startups operate. You can see founders spending months on gathering data on whether to pivot. By the time they have decided, 2 competitors had launched, funding dried up, team morale collapsed. The decision paralysis was worse than any wrong decision could have been. Leadership assessments show that decisive leaders, even with lower accuracy rates, build more successful teams than cautious leaders. Why? Because momentum matters. Amazon's research shows 70% of decisions are reversible. Two-way doors you can walk back through. Only 30% are irreversible one-way doors. But most managers treat every decision like a one-way door, creating institutional paralysis. Your team would rather follow someone who makes decisions and admits mistakes than someone who delays decisions to avoid ever being wrong. Do you now notice what's missing from traditional programs? They start with technical skills and strategy, add communication as an afterthought. That's why $10,000 programs still have 90% failure rates. So follow the leadership training hierarchy that actually works. Emotional intelligence first, because trust is the foundation. Influence over authority, because commitment beats compliance. Decision velocity, because momentum matters more than perfection. And if you're wondering where you stand on these skills, that's why we built a leadership assessment and transformational tool at ruleyourmind.org. It is a state-of-the-art AI-powered leadership and personality analysis tool unlike any other generic test. Instant report generation upon completion. Limited discount. Link in description. Like and subscribe, and we have got a deep dive on the influence framework that works for leaders, coming soon. Have a nice day.